What impact has sleep had on the evolutionary process, and what impact has that had on human cognition? Today, I'm going to be reviewing some literature that I found fascinating, an area in which we can integrate movements of evolution from our ancestors, the primate, into changing their direction to sleep, how that has potentially led to the development of human cognition and maybe even society in general, the impact that sleep can have. Now, Alan Rechenschaffen, back in 1950s, a guy who was a pioneer in sleep research, stated that if sleep does not perform an absolute vital function, then it's the biggest mistake that the evolutionary process has ever made. And it's interesting that he said that because there are theories out there that have looked at how the evolutionary sleep has led to the development of the prefrontal cortex. So let's take you back 14 to 18 million years ago to our great ancestor, the great ape. If we just think about how they would have been sleeping. Now, they were in the trees, they would have been sleeping in forages, they would have had an unsecure platform and lack of stability, not a lot of protection, didn't learn how to use fire or anything like that. So there was the concern of predators being about, and they would have lived in or slept together in smaller kind of tribes, essentially, a couple of offspring with mother and father. Now, if we think about the quality of sleep, just imagine for a moment trying to fall asleep in some trees. As soon as you have a little bit of a windy storm or one of them moves or anything like that, we're going to get a disruption. So what they believed is that the great ape actually lacked a quality of sleep that we call REM sleep. And REM sleep is called rapid eye movement sleep, which is actually to do with a lot of our learning and our creativity and our memory. And because of that lack of that quality sleep, the great ape would have to sleep for a long period of times. Now, they would be going to sleep when it was dark and waking up when it was light, but the time period was, say, 10 to 11 hours of sleep. Now, obviously, through the evolutionary process, there was something that created some curiosity in the great ape to decide to come out of the trees and start to explore the land. And if we think about what that curiosity is at the level of the brain, this is what we would refer to as the dopaminergic system, the mesolimbic cortical system in our brain that drives motivation and to seek, to explore. In Yak Pansep's primary basic emotion. This is the emotion that delivers all action and has generated the ability to actually move and towards something, to move towards a goal. So for an ape to decide to come out the trees and to start to forage the land, it's going to require a form of vision, which is going to require something from a dopaminergic system. Now, why do I mention this system? Because interestingly enough, this is also the system, this is also the brain circuit that creates dreams. So Freud, who hundreds of years ago decided to start to analyze dreams to look for unconscious motivators, was actually correct. And in the 1990s, a guy called Professor Mark Solms discovered this brain circuit. However, we're going to get to that in a moment. It's just interesting that we have this concept of dreaming, dopamine, and a change in behavior resulting in what we'd go to next. 1.8 to 2 million years ago, our ancestors, the hunter-gatherers, it is known that they were now sleeping on the ground. Much more stability. So there's more stability. Larger tribes, the tribes of people now like 20 to 25, males on the outside to protect, females and young children on the inside, cohabitating, and they would have still gone to sleep when it was dark and woken up when it's light, but the quality of that sleep supposedly increased dramatically. We had the introduction of further rapid eye movement sleep. Now, rapid eye movement sleep obviously is to do with our creativity, our memory and learning, but what they believed is that the increase in this rapid eye movement sleep actually allowed to reduce the amount of time that we're sleeping for. For now, we're sleeping for 7 to 8 hours, so we have a few more hours throughout the day. What were those hours then spent doing? Well, they were spent learning. There was more time to be civil or social, to build tools, to figure out tools, to play with tools, to learn how to use fire, to dance, to start to move, to create language. There was an element where time periods, we had more time, which, when you really think about it, when you're in a position where, not like society today, where you can just sit down and go, oh, I'm going to have a 30-minute break. These individuals were still trying to figure out just how to survive. They were very primitive. They were still being driven by our instincts. And these instincts are these motivations, these drives, these affects that we feel. Now, if we further go on and take it to the next step, humans are still trying to get more time. They're still trying to be more productive and do more and learn more and create more. However, at what point does it become an expense? How much time do we need until there is an issue related to someone's health or cognitive performance? Now, we know that when we start getting down towards the lack of 7 or 6 hours of sleep, then we are going to see performance and health-related issues. Humans are trying to get more time to be more productive because we are information processing machines. We convert information, take it into a perception, and turn it into a materialistic thing. That's what we do. We develop tools. We create tools. But it becomes a sacrifice. And what is that sacrifice now? The sacrifice might only be chronic disease. But what about in the evolutionary process? What about the development of our prefrontal cortex in this position? From the great ape to the hunter-gatherer, and those millions of years of exploration, additional time, the hunter-gatherer was able to develop more of the human cognition and become more civil, more socialized, and more utilization of tools. But have we now gone too far that it's becoming a sacrifice? And does that even matter now? Because we're uploading our consciousness and our intelligence onto things like the internet and tools and technology. We're outsourcing. So these are questions that I just want to leave you with here. Is at what point does a lack of quality sleep, at what duration, does it not only have an impact on our prefrontal cortex, because we know that the prefrontal cortex communication between the rest of the brain with lack of sleep becomes impaired? Are we now at a point in civilization where we have devalued sleep so much that it's become a basis of the next step in evolution, that with the technological age, with upload to our AI, along with changes in our motivations and drives, are we seeing a huge change in evolution? And what sacrifice is that for our health? I'll leave that question with you there.